Hello and welcome to News Now. The Nigerian Army says some of its soldiers are missing after an encounter with terrorist sect Boko Haram. A statement by the Army spokesman Sani Usman says 19 soldiers and 3 civilian JTF members were injured in a clash with the sect, while a few others were missing in action. The Army, however, assured that it would not relent until the soldiers have been accounted for. It added that a rescue team had been deployed to search for the missing soldiers in the northeast of Nigeria. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Gabriel Olonishakin, says the military was still working to fine-tune a report by the Pipeline Security Committee. Olonishakin pledged to work closely with the NNPC and its partners to better protect oil and gas infrastructure in the Niger Delta region of the country. He said the reinvigorated military operation in the Niger Delta was tailored toward better performance and efficiency on the part of the military.
We have tried to place the necessary security arrangement to protect these critical infrastructures. And that's one of the reasons why Operation Delta Save came on board some few weeks ago to replace Operation Polo Shield. In the Operation Delta Save, we tried to limit it to some some areas so that their effort can be directed at protecting the critical infrastructure in this area. The operation, of course, is on course, but along the line there were some issues also we need to address, which your predecessor also mentioned, which we discussed, and that is the issue of negotiation, which is ongoing. However, on the military side, we ensure that the necessary protection of the infrastructure is done, the necessary intelligence are obtained, and also ensure that we'll stop any act of sabotage in these areas. I want to say that your request in facilitating and deploying of relevant personnel is something that we will work on. Providing the support for NNPC operation, we have no choice because that's, of course, as military operators, we need to do that. On the Lake Chad Basin, we are still carrying an operation in that general area. The Multinational Joint Task Force is carrying out an operation alongside our neighbors to clear the northern fringes of our country. And that is something that we have to conclude before we can ensure that any team goes in there to carry out the operation.
The Nigerian Army has deployed another batch of 700 officers and soldiers to Liberia on a peacekeeping mission. The troops received a 4-week special training in preparation for their induction into the United Nations peacekeeping mission in Liberia. While addressing his men, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tuku Buratai, warns them to avoid any act capable of tarnishing the image of the nation. He advised the troops to abide by the rules of engagement, exhibit braveness as professionals, and to also respect the cultural sensitivity of the people of Liberia. President Muhammadu Buhari says his administration is currently in talks with Niger Delta militants through oil companies and law enforcement agencies to find a lasting solution to insecurity in the region. Attacks by a group known as the Niger Delta Avengers in Nigeria's southern oil region has pushed crude production in Nigeria to 30-year low in recent weeks. The militants have called for a greater share of Nigeria's oil wealth to be passed on to the region's communities and for authorities to clean up areas destroyed by oil spills. Oil revenue accounts for around 70% of Nigeria's national income. Now, speaking at the farewell audience with Michel Zina, the outgoing ambassador of Germany to Nigeria, President Buhari said the government was studying the instruments of the amnesty program inherited from the previous government with a view to carrying out commitments made that were undelivered. Meanwhile, the Niger Delta Avengers have denied holding any peace talks with the government. The denial comes hours after President Buhari announced his government was talking to militants in the Niger Delta to end a wave of attacks on oil and gas facilities. The Avengers say they are not aware of any peace talks with the government. The group added that there will be no dialogue without involving the international community. Nigeria's Minister of Budget and National Planning, Udo Udoma, has expressed hope that Nigeria's economy would pick up in the third quarter of 2016. He was speaking at a news conference after a meeting of the National Economic Council, a body that advises the government, on Thursday. His comment comes after the Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, told Nigeria's senators that the country was technically in a recession.
A recession is basically if you have 2 quarters of negative growth. We had a first quarter of negative growth. We're still waiting to get all the figures for the second quarter, which has just ended in June. So we're still getting all the figures. The NBS, will be giving us all the figures. But if, as we suspect, the second quarter is also negative, then of course technically you could say that we are in recession if those figures turn out to be so. But even if we're not, the situation in the economy right now is one that of course we are addressing. Some of it was expected, some of it was not. We did expect the low oil price, but we did not expect the level of disruption that we got in the Niger Delta, such that oil production went down, and we're not likely to achieve the 2.2 million barrels a day, because it went down at one point to a little over about 1.3 million barrels. So you can imagine the impact of that. So measures are being taken to address those issues. We expect that by the third quarter, we will start to pick up. And we expect to finish the year in positive territory. That is what we're expecting. We expect by the end of this year to be marginally positive. But by next year, we will now start to pick up, and we will have much more growth next year. But this year has been a difficult year, and some of it, as I said, we expected, but we didn't expect the disruptions which were caused in the Niger Delta and which led to a reduction in the production of crude oil, and also affected power supply, because a lot of our power is supplied by gas. So it affected power supply, it also affected. So that is basically it. So we are expecting the economy to begin to grow again from the third quarter and onto the fourth quarter. We are focusing on the non-oil. We're focusing on agriculture, on solid minerals, and then ultimately on manufacturing. So basically we see this, what we're going through, as an opportunity in some ways to finally move away from total dependence on the single commodity crude oil. We believe that Nigerians have the capacity to turn this thing around. It's the private sector that is going to do it. Our role as a government is to provide the enabling environment for that to happen. We are confident that that will happen.
The Nigerian government says it understands the urgency of the moment in terms of diversifying the country's economy. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, speaking during a meeting with a group of Nigerian and Mexican agribusiness interests, said these are exciting times for agriculture in Nigeria, considering President Muhammadu Buhari's vision for the sector. In a statement issued by his office in Abuja, Osinbajo described agriculture as an integral part of the country's plan for sustainable economic growth and development. The Federation Account and Allocation Committee, FAC, has distributed to the three tiers of government the sum of 559 billion naira for the month of June. The amount distributed shows an increase of 253.905 billion compared to 305 billion naira distributed in May. The Minister, Kemi Adeosun, that's Finance Minister now, Kemi Adeosun, who announced this while addressing journalists after the monthly FAC meeting Thursday in Abuja, said the shared amount comprised of the month's statutory revenue of over 412 billion naira.
This is the analysis of the allocation to the three tiers of government in July 2016. The gross statutory revenue, 408,766 million. Solid mineral revenue, this is a collection from 2007 to 2014, 9,923 million. So the total statutory allocation, including solid minerals, was 418,689 million, from which we deducted a 7% cost of collection to Nigerian Customs Service, 4% cost of collection to Federal Inland Revenue Service, 4% cost of collection to DPR, and there was also an NNPC refund due to the federal government of 6.330 billion. So the net statutory allocation, 396,308 million, distributed as follows: federal government 199,754 million, state governments 101,318 million, local governments 78,112 million, and derivation 15,154. Net figure 396,308. Value added tax 67,401 million, less 4% cost of collection 2,696 million, leaving a net figure of 64,705 million. Distributed as follows: federal government of Nigeria 9,706 million, state governments 32,352 million, local governments 22,647 million. So the grand summary is as follows: statutory gross 412,359 million, VAT 67,401 million, giving a total of 479,076 million naira, or 760,000 million naira, sorry. Exchange gain 79,272 million, which gave a grand total of 559,032 million naira. The balance in the excess crude account as at 20th of July stands at 3,094 million naira. Now, to give you some analysis of the change in the performance, the major change which took us from a June total of 305 billion to the 479 billion that we have today is as follows. The big cause of the increase was an improved collection of non-oil from FIRS. FIRS improved its performance between last month and this month by 165 billion, and that accounts for the change in revenues. And so, in summary, the total being shared this month is 559 billion 032, and that compares to just 305 billion 128 last month.
Well, we'll take a short break, and News Now will be right back. What is happening to the contact?
Corruption not in my country.
Hello, Alhaji. Right now I'm in Abuja. No. Hello, Adamu. Right now I'm in Kano. Yes. When I get back, I'll just call you.
Look, what is wrong with you? I'm talking on the phone and you are gesticulating and doing. What's wrong with you? Daddy, where exactly are we as we speak?
Are you alright? This is Lagos.
Well, you just lied to someone that we're in Abuja.
Keep quiet there. Who told you can tell an elderly person is lying?
Daddy, you just lied. And by lying, you are raising corrupt children for the future of Nigeria. That is corruption, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. The Senate President Bukola Saraki has reshuffled the leadership of Senate committees. Saraki made the announcement shortly before the Senate adjourned on Thursday. Among the members reshuffled are Senator Oluremi Tinubu, who previously chaired the Committee on Women Affairs. She is now the chairperson, Senate Committee on Environment, while former chairman of the Senate Committee on National Population, Kabiru Marafa, will now operate as the chairman, Senate Committee on Downstream Petroleum. Marafa is the Senate leadership's most outspoken critic. About 24 hours after he was removed as the chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Appropriation, Abdul Mumin Jibrin has accused the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, of attempting to pad the 2016 budget with 30 billion naira. He says his removal from his former position was because he refused to allow the Speaker to have his way. Dogara had announced the removal of Jibrin on the floor of the House on Wednesday, but the lawmaker himself later briefed the press that he actually chose to step down and wasn't removed. Jibrin issued a lengthy statement Thursday evening detailing why he says he was removed, accusing the principal officers of the House of an attempt to pad the budget by as much as 40 billion naira. He also called on them to resign. Speaker Dogara has, however, denied all the accusations. The former chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Nuhu Ribadu, has returned to the All Progressives Congress APC. In a statement posted on his official Facebook page, Ribadu said he decided to return to the party he left in 2014 owing to the intractable crisis in the PDP. He also explained that his return to the APC was triggered by his belief that all politics were local and was grateful for the love shown to him by members of the ruling party. Ribadu left APC in 2015 after failing to get the governorship ticket in Adamawa State. The Transition Monitoring Group TMG, a coalition of human rights and civil society organizations in Nigeria, has called for the sacking of the board of the country's central bank for allegedly fueling corruption in the country. Speaking at a press conference in Abuja on Friday, chairman of the group Ibrahim Zikrullahi accused the bank's board of leading the country into financial crisis. Financial distress, I should say. The group also urged the present administration to do away with fancy theories and put the economy on the path of recovery. Meanwhile, the Central Bank of Nigeria says it has sold dollars on the interbank currency market in a bid to boost the naira. Traders said the CBN was seeking bids of $5 million each from primary market traders. This came after the naira-dollar rate fell to a record low of 331 per dollar in regular interbank trading. The naira later firmed to 300 per dollar after the central bank sold dollars to calm volatile trades. Finance Minister Kemi Adeosun says Nigeria will start borrowing abroad in the third quarter. The government has said it plans to borrow up to $10 billion, with about half of that coming from foreign sources to help make up a budget shortfall exacerbated by a slump in oil prices. The country had initially planned to hold Eurobond roadshows in March, but postponed sales as investors complained about the overvalued naira. Nigeria raised a total of 204.9 billion naira in treasury bills on Thursday, with maturities ranging from 3 months to 1 year at higher yields. Fixed income dealers said the central bank sold 36.7 billion naira of the 3-month treasury bills at 14.14% compared to 9.98% at the July 8 auction, and 39.1 billion naira worth of the 6-month bill at 15.48% against 12.24% previously. The bank sold 129 billion naira worth of the 1-year paper at 16.48%, up from 14.99% at the last auction. A member of the Centre for Democracy and Development says the outcome of the UK referendum on June the 23rd will depend on the relationships the UK forges with the remaining EU countries and those further afield. A senior fellow of the Centre, Jibrin Ibrahim, said the opportunities and challenges of Brexit can be of immense benefit to Africa.
It's a period for us to reflect on what are our own strategies. Currently, Britain is trying to review the different strategies for negotiation to work out how will Britain serve its own best interests. We in Africa need to set up teams to review our economic situation and see whether there are opportunities out of this crisis over Brexit that may benefit our economy. They are looking at their own interests. Let's use it as an opportunity to look at our own interests and how it will be best served. I think for Nigeria, we are not as exposed to the British economy as other African economies are, and therefore it may not affect us greatly. However, on certain platforms, one is the issue of humanitarian assistance is going to decline significantly at a time in which we have a huge humanitarian crisis. That's one area where Brexit, if it happens, will affect us. The other is the whole relationship with the United Kingdom, which is mediated through Europe. Now it will no longer be mediated through Europe if it happens. So here we need to mount up our diplomacy to prepare ourselves to serve our own interests.
Now, another fellow of CDD also spoke about the importance of sovereignty, describing the implications of the signing of the economic partnership agreements with the European Union as a blessing in disguise for Nigeria. She says the agreement can allow Nigeria to negotiate separately with the European Union.
The EPA, which has been signed by many African countries, not been signed by Nigeria, is a blessing for Nigeria in disguise, because Nigeria can now negotiate preferential trade agreements with Great Britain, or the United Kingdom as it is now, and can also negotiate separately with the European Union, because the UK is no longer part. Another thing is that they are the former colonial masters of Nigeria. Therefore, the relationship has been on for hundreds of years. It's not a new relationship. That makes it an ongoing thing.
Now, crude futures were on track for weekly losses on Friday as investors reassessed U.S. data on oil stocks. Brent crude briefly fell to a more than 2 months low of less than $46 per barrel, while U.S. crude traded as low as $44.25 a barrel before bouncing back to $44.74 a barrel. Now, falling prices in the United States coupled with low shipping costs have also encouraged traders to send U.S. oil to Europe, which would add to supply in the region. This has helped the market shake off further disruptions in Nigeria, where the largest stream of crude is under force majeure and pipeline attacks have cut some 700,000 barrels per day from production. Tuareg rebels battled pro-government militia fighters in Mali's desert north on Friday. This is the second day of clashes, raising fears for a fraying peace deal. Gunfire erupted in the town of Kidal after days of growing tensions between the Tuareg-dominated coordination of Azawad movements and rival Gatia militia fighters. There was no immediate information on what precisely caused the latest clashes or the number of casualties. The peace agreement signed last year by the government, its militia allies and the Tuareg separatists was intended to ease tensions between armed groups in the north and allow the army to concentrate on fighting Islamist militants. One person has been confirmed dead and 10 injured after shots were fired at a shopping center in Munich. The shopping center has been evacuated and the surrounding area has been sealed off. The shooting actually reportedly happened at OEZ, the largest shopping center in Bavaria. The area has been on high alert and undergoing increased security following an incident on Monday in which a teenager actually stabbed a number of people with an axe. ISIS claimed responsibility for that attack. Now to some sports. Dream Team 6 coach Samson Siasia has included Super Eagles captain John Obi Mikel in his first 18-man squad for the Rio 2016 football event. However, some high-profile names cut out from the original 35-man list include Watford striker Odion Igalo, Arsenal's Alex Iwobi, Manchester City's Kelechi Iheanacho, Chelsea defender Kenneth Omero, South Africa-based goalkeeper Daniel Akpeyi is the second overage player in the squad alongside Mikel, with Siasia electing to take just 2 overage players. Now the Dream Team 6 are in Group B of the Olympic football tournament alongside Sweden, Colombia and Japan. The Nigerian Football Federation has assured it is working on immortalizing coaching legends Shuaibu Amodu and Stephen Keshi. Both men passed on last month. Keshi led the Nigerian national team to its 3rd Nations Cup title in 2013 and a 2nd round World Cup appearance in 2014. He died June 8 at the age of 54, while Amodu is the only Nigerian coach to qualify the country for 2 separate World Cups, that's in 2002 and 2010, though he was sacked before the beginning of each tournament. NFF General Secretary Mohamed Sanusi explained that the football body was coordinating with the government with regards to the immortalization of the 2 football icons. The International Olympic Committee have confirmed a total of 45 new positive doping results from retest of samples taken from the Beijing 2008 Olympics and the London 2012 Olympics. A statement from the IAAF said it discovered 30 positive doping samples from retest from the 2008 Olympics, while 15 samples were discovered from retest of samples from the 2012 Olympics. Now, the findings bring the total number of failed tests to 98, with 2 further batches to follow. The new revelation comes as the Olympic body is considering a complete ban on all Russian athletes from the Rio 2016 Olympics. The IOC will meet on Saturday to consider the punishment on Russia after a new WADA report accused the country of widespread state-sponsored doping at the Sochi 2014 Olympic Games. Well, that's it on News Now. We thank you very much for watching. Continue to stay tuned to TV360.